Hey guys, what's good? I'm Andre and today I want to talk to you guys about Polestar that's going to be taken public by SPAC merger through a SPAC called GGPI, and Lucid, a company that you probably know very well by now. It was also taken public by SPAC through a SPAC called CCID. So guys, before we jump right into it, I'm gonna plant one tree for every 20 likes this video gets. Help me out and we're gonna help the planet out as well. Let's get right into it, guys. So the first thing I want to have a look at is price. Obviously GGPI is less known than Lucid, and after the rally that Lucid had this past week, it reached peaks of $41.60. Now it's currently overbought, quite massively so, but it's currently sitting at $37. With that in mind, guys, the price for GGPI currently is $10.72, obviously much more affordable, but I want to take you guys away from the idea of comparing apples to apples in terms of price because they don't have the same number of shares out. So that being said, I want to have a look at market cap, and the difference there is pretty massive. GGPI comes at $1 billion and then Lucid comes out at $60 billion. So this is quite a massive difference, guys. Does that make GGPI 60 times less great than Lucid, or does it mean that GGPI has 60x potential here? Well, neither of those are necessarily true. Let's have a look at some of the numbers. I want to have a look at the investor presentation and then just point out a few really interesting things that I feel like are gonna probably make a bull case for Polestar, for GGPI. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty bullish on the stock. Let's jump right in and have a look at some of these things. Cool, guys. So the first thing that you should be looking at whenever you want to invest in a SPAC is who exactly is leading it and what's the history there, what's the potential of the leaders. And I'm gonna let you guys dig into these guys' backgrounds and who they are and what they've been doing in the past. Right after this, you should definitely have a look at what their proven SPAC track record section here displays. I think these are really important things. As I was saying, there's no track record for the company. Well, there is some, but very minimal. So you really shouldn't invest based on that. You should invest based on a few different factors, and just having a look at what these guys have done in the past successfully is definitely an important step towards making sure that you invest in something that you truly have belief in. Having conviction when investing in a SPAC, when investing in something like Polestar in such an early phase of the company here, is gonna be paramount, because there's definitely going to be a lot of FUD through the next 5 years here until the company starts being profitable and starts proving its worth to investors. So let's have a look at some of their projections. The first thing I'd like to call out here with regards to the car itself is that, man, it's freaking gorgeous. I mean, you guys probably know by now it's related to Volvo. My opinion is that Volvo always made cars look really, really great. But Polestar seems to have taken it to such a fantastic next level. Their cars look absolutely gorgeous, so I expect them to do really, really well. And while I know that design-based feedback is biased and subjective, in my opinion, it looks so much better than the Lucid cars. It's really important for you guys to have a look at what some of the history for Polestar here is. They started off as a pure racing company and they were a Volvo partner for so many years. They still to some extent are, and as you have already seen, they have Volvo based leadership as well. But it's really important to understand that they're coming from a high performance space, so being able to have that sort of track record and moving into retail now is gonna be a very important thing that Lucid doesn't necessarily have. That kind of history, that kind of proven track record. They're much newer as a company, all things considered. Another very important thing to have a look at here is the fact that Polestar has already managed to create its second generation car. This is pretty fantastic because, as you guys can see, the differences between Polestar 1 and Polestar 2 are pretty significant. First off, Polestar 1 was absolutely outrageous in terms of pricing. Polestar 2 is much more affordable in the 60 grand range here. And then have a look at the kilometer range, guys. That's absolutely important. Their ability to 5x what the first generation had just speaks volumes about how serious they take feedback and just growing what they already do well and building the future. Something that I'm really excited about, especially because Polestar has such a strong European market, is the fact that they plan on selling the SUV version as well. That's gonna compete with with Porsche Cayenne. I mean, the Porsche Cayenne model is a very popular one in Europe, and I just can't see something that looks as gorgeous as Polestar coming in and absolutely eradicating the Porsche buyers out there. It's probably gonna be super high-end, super luxurious, so there's no reason why you shouldn't look at something like that. And it would kind of be one of the very first SUVs that's full electric, so that's gonna be pretty exciting to see as well. I'm really excited to see what it's actually gonna look like, and they plan on launching it by the end of 2022, which is pretty soon, all things considered. One of the most exciting slides in this whole presentation, in my opinion though, is this one where we're actually having a look at how many cars they're planning on selling as the years go by here. And the main difference between Polestar and CCID or Lucid that I would personally point out is the fact that they have already sold over 20,000 cars. They sold 10,000 in 2020, and they have projected to sell 30 grand this year roughly. Obviously TBD on the numbers actually being accurate. Last time I checked, they were somewhere in the range of 18 grand. So it's really exciting to see that they've already sold so many things, so many cars. They already proved that there's a market out there looking for their cars, and they already proved that they can service that market, which is again pretty fantastic. It's gonna be such a long lead time until Lucid is able to ramp up and get out with production. Apparently they're gonna potentially have the first few production series go out in the last quarter of 2021 here, but TBD on that. I mean, it wouldn't be crazy to expect delays. The fact that Polestar already sold so many cars, it's pretty fantastic, and I'm expecting really big things from them in the next year here, and then especially by 2023, once they already have a few different models out there to compete on the market. And then probably second in line of really exciting slides is this one here, where they're just placing themselves with different competitors based on what differentiates them, and they're the single global EV pure plays next to Tesla that we can see. Obviously NIO has been making inroads into Europe this year, so TBD on them actually going to the US in the future. That being said, it sounds like Polestar has much bigger sights on actually going for the full market straight from the get-go here. And then I don't want to spoil your guys' appetite to breeze through the whole investing deck and just try to absorb as much of the information as you possibly can, because again, it can build conviction. But the one other thing that I wanted to call out here is the fact that through its sister brand, its really close partnership with Volvo, they're able to tap into just an insane number of factories straight off the line. So while companies like Lucid, like NIO, will definitely have a long lead time to build their own facilities to make sure that they can accommodate the manufacturing process, Polestar just has that on tap, and as you guys can see, it can just output crazy amounts of cars if they decide on doing it. Now, that being said, guys, obviously these factories are gonna still output Volvo cars as well, but I think that as long as the demand is gonna be there for the Polestars, they're gonna be able to ramp up production insanely fast. I mean, just look at the numbers of cars that they can potentially manufacture if they do have orders for them. So guys, definitely have a look at the investor deck. I'm gonna link it down below. Do not ever invest in any company without building your own conviction, because if you do, then whenever something hits the fan and then nothing works anymore for a set period of time, let's say there's a market correction and GGPI or Polestar, you've bought it at $15 and it goes back to 11, you're gonna have zero conviction, you're gonna sell at the lows, you're gonna buy at the highs, so that's never a recipe for success. Just build your own convictions through due diligence, and you're gonna be way better off than taking somebody's advice, whether it be me or anybody else on the internet. So guys, that pretty much covers it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.